Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your life, business, body, health, wellness, fitness from where you are right now to being unstoppable. And today I'm going to talk to you about never giving up. And why am I talking about this topic today? Well, Melbourne, Australia, today we were supposed to get an announcement from our state premier about rolling back some major rollbacks of our COVID restrictions. However, in his infinite wisdom has found a reason to keep us locked down for longer, and it's absolutely frustrating for so many people. So many businesses are driven absolutely mad by this man's dictatorship type mentality that is just having us locked down for longer and longer and longer under the toughest restrictions for the longest length of time of just about anywhere else in the world, as far as I understand it. And it got me thinking about what are the conversations I'm going to be having with people over the next coming days, and people complaining about how this is still going on a longer and longer. And then I think about my own thinking, and that is, I'm not going to give up. Like, we can't be controlling our lives by decisions made by others. So today I thought it was worthwhile to give you the 7 tips that I use to help create this steel-like focus of mine so that I never give up. And the first thing is this. Number 1, have a fresh, in inverted commas, break. I think when you get to that point where you've got that voice in your head that says, it's time to give up, it's time to stop, I've had enough, that kind of language, whatever language it is that you use for yourself, or that little voice inside your head or big voice inside your head says, and you're going to go through this process. What you want to have a bit of a rant, you want to get it out of your system. And I say, great, get it out of your system. Have a break, step away. Often many of these things will come when they're at your desk, or maybe you're on the phone, or you're in your car, or you're doing something. I just say, do you know what? Switch off your phone, put it on silent, whatever. Take a break from it. Now, that could be a 10-minute break. It could be a 15-minute break. It could be an hour break, whatever it is for you. 15 minutes to half an hour is probably enough. And just go and do something that is going to get your mind off it. So maybe it's just going for a walk, get some fresh air. I always say get some physical activity in while you're having your freshness break, if you like, so that you will naturally release some really good endorphins. I also recommend getting outdoors in some sunshine, just enjoying a little bit of nature, just going for a walk. Maybe you are listening to some music or something like that, but make sure that your phone messages can't come through, and just chill out for a bit. Just get away, because I find whenever I do that, I come back to it after that period of time. For me, it's probably a maximum of half an hour. I come back to it and I've just got this fresh outlook to what the problem is, because that's all it is. It's a problem that we need to find a solution to. So that moves on to next step, number 2. I love to get a whiteboard. I've got a whiteboard in my studio, and brainstorm. Now again, I think brainstorming is a brilliant idea. I set my timer to 7 minutes, and then I just brainstorm. I just write and write and write. There is the rules of brainstorming. There are no stupid ideas. You just write. You don't stop and think about each idea. You just write. Read the last idea and think, okay, yeah, that means this. And then, that point will lead you to the next point, and to the next point, and to the next point. And if you really get into it, then you'll be really surprised as to what comes up. It's really powerful. So that, for me, I've got to do it standing up so I can move around. I might write a couple of points and then I'll walk away from the whiteboard and just think, okay, so what does that point really mean? Okay, yes, that means this. And then you'll find that you might be a little bit slow to start with. You might come up with the first 2 to 3 ideas, but then you just watch. Keep digging, and you'll find that more and more ideas come up. Now, don't go past the 7 minutes, because that's when you'll find that the freshness starts to disappear. So put a very specific time on and just write and write and write. Then step 3, what I want you to do is identify the top 3 actions, the top 3 brainstorm ideas that you think are going to work. So get a different color whiteboard marker, go through and just circle the ones that you think, what's 1, 2 and 3. And then I want you to think about, okay, out of those 3, would you insource these? You're going to do them yourself, your team, or you're going to outsource them? So whether it's something you specifically need to do or is it something someone else needs to do? Can you work on multiple things at the same time? These top 3, can you work on all of them at the one time? Work out what that's going to be, that decision little matrix. And then step number 4 is I want you to focus on number 1. Now, if you can outsource number 2 and 3, then terrific. Then make sure that you take some action to say, okay, well, what needs to happen there? Is it a case of just writing an email to somebody and saying, bang, this is what needs to happen, have a meeting, etc.? What I find that you do need to do is to be very, very clear in what it is that you're asking someone else to do. Especially if you're outsourcing, like I do a lot of outsourcing now, which is overseas. And sometimes there can be language barriers, there can be different preconceived ideas as to you know exactly what it is that you want. But if you don't articulate that correctly and detailed to someone, then you're going to have problems at the end and it can end up taking more time than if you did it yourself. So you've got to be really, really clear. So number 4, focusing on number 1, your number 1. What is that you can do that is really going to help shift this problem to help you never give up? Maybe you just have to come at it from a different angle. Maybe it's a different few angles, but there's always a solution. You just haven't identified it yet, potentially. Number 5, once you've identified the one that you're going to focus on, you absolutely must schedule time to work on it. Now, I know that this might sound really fundamental for people, or for you, but so many people don't do this. You come up with what needs to be done, but you don't actually schedule it. You don't go to your calendar and schedule it in. Now, a great example of this is people's exercise and their food. They don't schedule it into their diary. So if we talk about the exercise, for instance, if you went to my calendar, you can see the days and times that I work out. Now, I try to make sure that I'm working out on exactly the same days each week and exactly the same time. Why? Because we're creatures of habit. And we are high performing when we do the same things over and over and we do them really well that way. Now, sometimes I find that I need to adjust my time because of other commitments that might come up that I can't control. So that means maybe I need to shift the workout that I do. So you'll find that they're in my calendar. Now, most people don't do that. Most people say, oh yeah, I might go to the gym today. This is why the accountability of coming to see someone or getting coaching from someone is really, really powerful, because you know you have to make an appointment. You know you've got to make that appointment to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. That's why accountability is so strong. So this is a way for you to make yourself accountable. I know it sounds really simplistic, but so many people don't do it. So make sure you do. There's logic to each step here, never giving up. We are forcing ourselves to go through a process like links in a chain to get to the success. If you do all these things, you'll find at the end of the chain is that success, bar of gold or whatever it is, the pot of gold under the rainbow. So schedule your time to work on it. Step number 6, don't stop working on it until it's done, until you've resolved the issue, until you've got to where it is that you want to get to. Another example, my book. For 3 years, I talked about a date of when I was going to have it finished by. And I would just pick the end of a year. So 31 December, it was 2016. And then because I didn't make that, I said, oh, okay, well, let's make it 2017. And then 2018, and 2019. I said, hang on a second. All I'm doing is changing a digit. I'm not actually doing any of the work. So I said to myself, stop making 31 December as the goal. And I woke up on the 1st of June one day and I said, okay, I'm going to get it written by the 31st of August, whatever year that was. I think it was 2018. And that's why I didn't make that date, because as I was going through the process, I got really deep into the book and realized that my original plan wasn't going to work and I needed to make the book bigger. I thought I'd be selling myself short if I didn't include all this other material in there. So it took, I think it took me about 14 weeks, something like that. But the point was, what took me from changing the year to then breaking it down into 12 weeks was, I didn't just say, okay, I'm going to get it written in 12 weeks. I said to myself, once I set that goal, what hasn't worked for me in the past? I know, setting a date and not actually scheduling anything to get the damn thing done. So what I did was schedule time every single day, every day. And then I had a holiday in Bali where I went by myself over to Bali. First time there, beautiful place. And I stayed at a lovely resort, and my goal over there was to relax and unwind, because it was my first holiday in a number of years, and to write my book. And so I ended up writing 6 chapters from the time I got on the plane in Melbourne. I think it was a 6.5 hour flight, something like that. I wrote for 6.5 hours on the flight over. I did the same coming back. I wrote and wrote and wrote while I was over there. It was a fantastic experience. And I said, do you know what? If I ever write another book, I need to go somewhere like this and just write and write and write. It was such a great experience because I wasn't getting any phone calls. There was no interruptions. I was just enjoying, like I was writing outside I was under this day bed in the right in front of the ocean. I had hired it for the entire day, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote from the morning right through into the evening. It was the most magnificent experience. It really was. And then when I got back, I thought, okay, well, I scheduled time when I got there, but then when I came back, I'd written the first, I wrote 6 chapters over there. So I think by that stage, I'd written about 9 chapters, and I think I had a couple to go at that point. And so I thought, okay, I can't just let it slide, because by the time I got back, I thought, okay, I'm going to get back into the normal routine of things. I've had a beautiful time away and been very productive, but I must keep this momentum going so I can finish this. So I made sure that I scheduled work every day to be working on it, even if it was half an hour. I tried to find a minimum of an hour a day somewhere to be working on the book so that I could just keep that momentum going. And that was fantastic, because when I first started, my plan was to work on it once a fortnight for the whole weekend when I didn't have my girls with me. And so, as in my children. And that didn't work, because each fortnight I'd say, okay, now what was I thinking again? And it took me like quite some time to pick up the rhythm again of writing, but knowing that I was working on it every day, it was all there. You know, the thoughts, what that next thought was, where I was heading, the direction, etc., etc. So it was super, super powerful. And again, I know this sounds very simplistic, but because I hadn't scheduled it for 3 years, it didn't get done. And as soon as I did, it was done in 14 weeks. So it was brilliant. And I was determined, like I said in point number 6 here, I didn't stop until it was done. And that was really powerful. Now, step 7 is just repeat. Whenever you get stuck like this and you feel like you want to give up, there were times when I thought, why bother writing a book? It doesn't matter. No one's going to read it. Doesn't matter to me. Yeah, it was something nice to do, but I can see that I just don't have the time to do it. But I said, no, that's not me. I would never be happy going to the grave knowing that I hadn't written at least one book. I know I think I've got at least 3 in me, but that I hadn't written at least one of my books. Having it published was a whole other dream, and something that I'd never really even conceived at the time of writing it, that I'd be able to find a publisher to publish it, but that's a whole other story. But repeat, don't ever give up. Life is too short. Your goals are too important. You are too important. And yeah, you're going to get to those times of the day, the week, the month, your life, where you just feel like, you know what, I'm spent. I don't think I've got anything more to give here. I'm just going to give up. That's when you need to follow this model. So to recap, step 1, have a break. Just step away for a period of time. Not a long period of time, but just step away. No more than a day. Step 2, brainstorm on a whiteboard. Again, I know this sounds simplistic, but we just don't do it. Step 3, identify your top 3 actions. Make sure once you've written everything up on your whiteboard, make sure you capture a photo of it on your phone so you don't lose this information. Step 3, identifying your top 3 actions and working out, are you going to insource it or are you going to outsource it? And then step 4 is focus on that number 1. Step 5, schedule it. Schedule time to work on it every day. Every day. Step 6, do not stop until you finish the work. And step 7, repeat this process whenever you feel like you've hit the wall and you've got nothing more to give. I know that because you're listening to this right now, that you want to improve your mental toughness. I know that you want to improve your health, your body, other areas of your life where you want to get better. And sometimes you just feel like, I'm going to give up. Let's talk about health. I've worked with a number of people. So I'll give you a perfect example of a lady this year that I probably, if it wasn't for COVID, I probably wouldn't have worked with her. Now, she lives in Brisbane, I live in Melbourne, and she was introduced to me via a friend who I met at a networking event overseas. And we've become quite close, and we keep in communication quite often. Every now and then we'll catch up on the phone. He really loves the work that I do, big supporter of what I do. And he said, look, I've got this friend of his wife that really needs your help. And he'd spoken to me about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then eventually he said, look, here are her details. Can you get in touch with her and see what you can do? So I got in touch, had a good conversation, and she was going to the gym. She was struggling to lose any weight at all. At the time we got connected, she was shut down. Gyms were closed there. They're all open now, but they were closed. And she was telling me what she was doing and telling me what she was eating. And I said, look, based on what you're telling me, you're over-exercising. It doesn't sound like you've got any structure to the types of workouts that you're doing. You're doing way too much exercise and you're under-eating and not eating the right things. And my guess is that you're either been this way for some time or you're going up. And she said, yeah, that's exactly right. She said, I got to a point where I'd lost a little bit of weight, but she said over the last 6 months, I haven't lost any. And she wanted to lose like another, 12 kilos, maybe something like that. And so we talked about the different tools that I had to work with her. We came up with the appropriate nutrition plan for her, dialed her into our group workouts so that she could be accountable to coming to group sessions. I mailed her a very light, simple piece of equipment she could use at her home, so she didn't have to, invest money in extra equipment. And she had the accountability, and I also gave her a home program that she could do in sessions away from the group sessions. Now, she's now lost 10 kilos. She feels amazing, and she just told me on Saturday, actually, how grateful she was for finding me. And, it's comments like that that really give me a buzz, because what I do comes really naturally to me, and sometimes I forget the impact that it can have on people's lives. And this has taken somebody that was really prepared to give up and just accepting the fact that, oh, well, I guess I'm going to be this way forever, and thinking that, going to the gym and doing heaps of workout on a treadmill or just lifting weights is going to do it. But if you're not doing it in a structured way and you're not putting the right fuel into your body, then you're never going to get the outcome that you're truly capable of. And all it takes is somebody to just change things slightly. They are not massive changes that we made, but getting things in the right sequence, in the right quantities. It's like a cake. Really, if you make a cake, if you get the quantities wrong in the wrong order and so forth, then it's not going to work, is it? So you've got to get that right. And just when she was ready to give up, she's just at the start of having an amazing success. So imagine if she hadn't taken the action that I had said that she needed to take. But she was ready and she said, yeah, I'm committed to this, and she's done it, and she's now got the result. And now we're 6 months down the track, she feels amazing, and her body, her life, everything has changed. Her clothes, she was wearing a shirt during the group workout that we were doing, and I said, is that a new shirt or is that an old one? So I said, I think you need to buy a new wardrobe. It looks really baggy. She said, yeah, it used to be tight, and now it's really loose on her, because 10 kilos is about two sizes for most ladies anyway. So you may be just on the cusp of having an amazing breakthrough. That's why you can't ever give up. You've got to keep pushing. They're the 7 steps that work for me. I'm sure they will be of value to you too. Have a great day wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.